Hello and welcome everyone from alvisdrift, from myself and Junel. Nice to be sharing this moment with you. At the moment, firstly I'd like to thank Standard Bank for their generous sponsorship of the Cheese Festival, the Chenin Blanc Association, and certainly Agri Expo. alvisdrift have been going to the Cheese Festival since the inception of the Cheese Festival, and it's been a privilege and an honor to be there. So hopefully you guys will be able to share and this short video with us.
Okay, Alfie. Yes, as Alfie mentioned, we've always been very happy to present at the Standard Bank Arena our Chenin Blancs for the association. And again today we're going to show you with great excitement our new vintages that's currently available on the market. And we're going to start with our first wine, which is the Chenin Blanc Signature. Remember, we've got different tiers in our Chenin Blancs, and I'm showing you now the one that most of you all know, and it's freely available. And this is this fresh label means I'm easy to drink. It invites you right to touch the bottle and say, let's get hold of a bottle. Not at the moment, it's not possible, but soon you would have to, it would be available. And this is the signature range, and that bears Alfie's hand signature on the label. So let's start, Alfie.
If I may, Junel,
yeah,
we forgot the most important guests, Ladysmith.
Oh no, we're going to start with that.
Okay, fantastic. Okay.
I first we want to talk about the first wine, and eventually I'll ask Alfie to speak about the other wines. But Alfie, if you don't mind, let's start. This is our signature. Now the signature range is exactly that. It's very easy, accessible. It's light to drink. It's light to pay for. And this reflects truly the characteristic of what this beautiful grape of South Africa's Chenin Blanc is all about. Remember, the original grape was planted in the time of Van Riebeeck already. This is one of the very early varieties that was brought to our country all the way from the Loire Valley, from France, from the Loire Valley. And it's one of the most planted varieties, or it is the most planted variety in South Africa. So you look at the youthful colors. This is our 2019. It's almost crisp. It's as if there's nice lime flashes towards the end right there. And then the nose. What do we do? How would you describe that? Classic
I think it's
Chenin.
absolutely classic Chenin. And things to look out there for me would be this honey blossom and this small, you get that? And
that little alyssum flower.
Perfect.
You know, you plant them in your pots and in pavements. They're tufts of white or lilac flowers, and you grab one of those flowers, rub it between your fingers and smell it. That's what he's talking about.
That's
the Junel blommetjies in Afrikaans, the alyssums, the honey blanc. But also, let's taste it and see if there's anything else.
But you get this incredible passion fruit, and there are so many great Chenins in South Africa at the moment that just what a joy for the African consumer to be exposed to these wines. If you shake this wine in your glass, Junel, have you looked at the viscous sort of nature of this wine?
Oh, you're speaking about the tiers.
Yeah, exactly. And this
people call the legs of the wine. Legs belong to ladies, Alfie.
Yeah,
No,
but you know that's
the legs of the wine. So what is that?
So that's normally glycerol that shows up like that. So normally it's with slower fermenting, more complex wines, slow fermenting yeasts. Yeah. And with this, when you put it in your mouth, just give it a bash and see how full it fills up your mouth. And you get this, you're saying it's a light, easy wine, but how incredible full it is and how pleasant it is basically as a food sensation, not only as a wine product, because it fills up your whole palate.
But I must also remind you that the philosophy at alvisdrift is we have to pick right. Alfie is the only person that will go to the vineyards when he's sure that we're now ready to pick. That's when he gives them the green light and say, okay guys, let's go and fetch the grapes. For our range of wines, our philosophy is 100% right because fruit is so important. So let's taste this together. So we got the nose. I like the way that you described the passion fruit. That shows you a lot of beautiful fruit. Aren't we lucky that we can have that? In Europe, I'm not so sure if they can get such a strong fruity flavor. Okay, and then...
But what's very interesting about these wines, we tasted a wine the other night, 2009, and it was incredible if you have a good closure and good sort of just basic winemaking practices, how incredible Chenin Blanc maintains its flavor and how beautifully it ages. And how more classical it gets with the honey blossom, and that becomes even more prominent.
Yeah, nice and crisp acidity, refreshing, and almost if it's a little bit of a lemony character that comes through with that tinge of honey. Now I want to introduce you to our old dear partners, Ladysmith Cheese. Ladies and gentlemen, and Ladysmith Cheese was kind enough to sponsor us and send us their cheese, which I'm going to now present to you. So the very first one that I chose to serve, Alfie, with our signature range is their Ladysmith natural, it's the uncolored natural cheddar cheese. It's young, let's just bite into it. It would be tangy. Remember, all cheese have got a fat content, they've got a salty content. The older, the more interesting they become. But this is a nice young cheese, and I thought with our sort of younger entry, I chose to actually do their young natural cheese. Let's taste it.
Lovely and creamy. It's got a really nicely made cheese. Lovely.
It is, but nice and firm to bite into. Very easy. Cheese. Now, when you do wine tastings, remember, always sip your wine. Get the flavor of the wine, see what it tastes like. Then you bite your cheese, chew it.
This would be about 2 months mature, I'd say.
Yeah,
6 weeks to 2 months. Yeah,
max 3.
Yeah.
So I think it is around about there.
Lovely
so
flavor.
Nice, firm, mild, little bit of a sharpness, but nice. It's that sort of almost that cheeky sourness coming through. Now let's try it with our signature Chenin and see if they match. If my choice was right. What do you experience? Ooh, it sort of mellows off. And I can still pick up, let's just take another bite just because we can.
I'm battling with the lockdown to fit into my clothes. I
No,
must really look at
we
what
only
I
have
do.
this opportunity to visit with Ladysmith at a table once. I love it. It's soft, you see, because there's nothing too sharp or too salty that challenges this wine. It's almost if you want to sit back and say, where's the bread? Let's picnic. I mean, this is all you need with lockdown is bread, cheese, wine, right?
Yeah.
Sorry about the wines we can't get
The
anymore.
wines are problem.
Okay, let's move on. I love to talk about this story, but I'm going to ask Alfie to tell you very briefly, what is this brand, or this new label of ours called the 221. A lot of you couldn't have heard of it because it's only the second vintage now. This is the 2019 221. What is the 221 all about? The story.
So people always ask me, so where does the name Alfie come from? Firstly, so Alfie is from, if you look at this bottle, it's our family name is Albertus for Junel van der Merwe. So, if you look at the first two letters, Albertus, A-L-V-I, that's where the Alfie comes from. So my grandfather was capped number 220, he was the 221st Springbok to be capped for South Africa. So he was quite a legendary guy in the sense that he obviously was a famous rugby player, and that's just from 1928 to 1932. So he scored the first try on South African soil against the All Blacks in history. So we've dedicated this brand to him and the legacy of Springbok rugby player number 221. The difference between the two wines here is here we have 100% barrel fermented Chenin, wild yeast, and there we have the signature Chenin, and in the middle here we have a 30% component of barrel fermented wine, and that's just sort of something in between the two because the market was looking for something fresher. So we were asked by some of our importers, actually our Dutch friends, asked us to make the product for them, and subsequently we've been ecstatic because the product shows quite nicely. Do you want me to tell the story about
we can
later.
as we do.
Yeah,
but now,
yeah.
I just want to also point out to you. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, when you taste wine and you look at wine this way, you reflect the wine away from your body. Use something white to look at the wine. Never pick up a glass. That's not the way to do it. But the older a white wine becomes, the more color it gains. The younger it is, the more sort of paler it is. Now, think about oxidation, what happens to fruit when they oxidize. Air comes in contact with the apple or pear that was lying there for an hour or so, it will be browned. So if air comes in contact with white wine, the same will happen. So obviously wines that's been in a barrel, because it's not a stainless steel tank, it has to breathe through the pores of the wood, you will have a little bit more color. So already here, there's a little bit more reflection of color than would be in the 2019 of our signature range, which says to you there's something that happened. Even if you pick up your third glass and you can compare it, you can see much more color in your third glass, which is 100% from barrels, you see. Now, just by that. Now let's just close our noses and swirl the wine, and suddenly you'll see, wow, there's a little bit more depth here, a little bit more different character, almost butteriness that comes through, with that honey stream and florals that come through. Go back to your number one, even if your glass is now empty, it doesn't matter, but you get that beautiful fruity, passion fruit straightforward. Now you go back to number two, you say, yes, I get it. There's a different dimension because we have a good dollop of barrel matured Chenin Blanc that's in this bottle with the tank. So it's the best of two worlds, and it will never break your pocket. Alvi, let's taste.
Just for interest, Junel, do you get a little bit of a flintiness on this wine?
That's attractive. It sounds smart, if you can say that. Yes.
That's not what I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to tell you is just look at the closure.
Yeah, that's from the barrel.
So if you look at, yes, in a way, but if you look at closure, so this is what we call a screw cap. So if you open it up and you go and look at the inside, you'll see there's a small disc on the inside, and that's silver. So that's either tin or aluminium. So that is a perfect seal, which is lovely, but you know, normally you need a little bit of air for wine to age, otherwise it becomes reductive. Yeah. And I think this, for everyone out there, you need to, when you get a screw cap, and especially wines that have been in a screw cap for a little bit longer, and specifically Chenin Blancs, you need to just aerate it slightly. So just give your glass a little bit of a twirl, a good shake, so that it just gets exposed to the air, so that the wine can open up.
Okay, so all right, so that's it. I chose the nice cheddar cheese, 3-month young, and it's got a nice tangy, creamy taste, and I think it just balances out with that touch of a barrel matured Chenin.
I really like the combination though. Actually, yeah, very nice.
Okay, now this is our Chenin Blanc, the great cream. And as Alvi said, Albertus for you is a family name. Alvi comes from there, Alvi. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as I pointed out to you, more color, longer time in a barrel, also wild yeast fermentation, so the fermentation is much slower to give us much more complexity.
But and look then, at the color, man.
Yeah, and 12 months then in the beautiful French oak barrels that we mature them further.
No malolactic fermentation, just so that you know.
Yeah, so nice deep nose, hey? Ooh, it always reminds me somehow of a bit of a stewed quince. Quepers.
I have a thing though, they always say, what do they say about Chardonnays? It's the queen of great varieties.
Yeah, she is. But she makes bottles,
but a good Chenin Blanc is
yes, I better say that too.
Yeah,
it's our favorite grape, by the way, as you can see in our range, how many we produce. So Alfie, how nice. This is now glycerol all over the show. It's nice and velvety on the palate, and strong, and it's got a beautiful layers on the nose, from the barrels, from the fruit. Now, what have we chosen to do with this wine? Nothing else but something more mature, because more matured is higher in so salty, but also almost tannier. So that is the
6-month matured cheddar.
So let's try it.
Oh yeah, completely different.
When I brought it close to my nose, I could smell.
Oh, that's beautiful. But just for me, I often find that some cheeses, as they mature, dry out. And look how beautiful this. This is actually more creamy. So I'm just wondering, is it a slightly higher fat content cheese? Must be beautiful, man.
But I love that sort of nice tanginess. Let's go with the wine. How does that pair? Oh dear, we won't get fat. Let's do this. This is
I can't
beautiful.
Get any fat,
but you know, if you want to do yourself a favor, try and always taste back such a mature cheese with a young light style wine. It just doesn't seem to work as much as you've got the body, you've got the legs in this wine to mature, to match the maturity of this cheese, which is much richer in flavor.
That's interesting.
Okay, we've got one more wine, and that is sort of the two ladies of the farm meeting each other, which is Chenin, Chardonnay, and then a little wildcat in the middle. Won't you talk about our last wine here, and that is our CVC?
Yeah, so CVC stands for, many people have asked me, so what are you trying to do here? Because the back of your credit card is CVV and not CVC, so that you all know. So it's Chenin Blanc, and it normally varies between 65 to 67%, and then between 15 and 20% of Viognier, and the last bit is Chardonnay in barrels. They're all separate, so we ferment them separately, all barrel fermented. And the Chardonnay goes from malolactic fermentation, and the others don't. And then we make blends up, and just sort of, and then it comes up with this, and it's been one of our consistent performers, if I may.
So this is also because as the Alvisdrift is our latest, the 2018. This one is also 2018. Obviously, our great wines. You can see already
the complexity.
yeah. Now there it is. It's like a oil painting. It's got rich colours and texture and layers of it.
I get this
And
hint
for-
of, I get this hint of that classic Viognier, almost floralness that comes through with a bit of flint, and then this massive mouthfeel, but not as big as your Alvisdrift and Chenin.
No.
But it
Still
lingers.
it stands on its own. It reminds me almost like elderflowers, and then it's got a nuttiness that comes through. And for that reason, my favourite of the Ladysmith clan, I've chosen Alvi, the Ladysmith.
Okay.
Nothing more than that. It's a natural cheese. It's been matured longer. Almost if there's a hint of grittiness, which I love. When it's older and...
Can I ask you a favour? Would you tell me a bit about the lady called Ladysmith?
No.
Where does her name come from?
She was from Spanish origin.
Okay.
It was 1793, I think.
She was the wife of Harry Smith.
She was, and she was very young when she was orphaned, and he took her on and eventually married her. And it came.
I think she was 14 at the time.
Yes, she was.
Lady Smith, just watch out.
And when he wanted to take her back to England to live with her parents, because in those days the soldiers couldn't travel, she said, "I'm coming with you." And she had a good eye for who he should choose as his leaders. She didn't mind to run with the horses like the men did, slept on the open train tracks. She was wild. She liked to camp, and she was really a loved lady. So a lot of towns is named after her, Ladysmith.
But
Can I tell one
more story?
I don't think we have time. We'll have to.
Okay.
But this is now our Ladysmith. It's surely in our Alvisdrift household. It's one of our favourites, and I like that lingering, nice salty taste. So let's see if the CVC works with that. I'm sure that Alvisdrift will work with it as well.
I'm going to give it a bash with Albertus because I really love it with that.
In my books, it's got plenty of layers, and it matches surely the complexity of the Ladysmith. Oh.
I love the Ladysmith. I must say that is an excellent cheese.
Hey. To Ladysmith, to Standard Bank, to everybody at our Chenin Blanc Association.
And all the producers and all you
and
guys
the viewers.
out there.
Thank you very much, and good
Stay
luck with
healthy.
the lockdown. Cheers.
Cheers.